to use an example of how to get logs into Cribble. One of the ones I hear often is, can you work with Syslog? And I can. I've used Syslog NG. I have Syslog NG working, but it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was not a pleasant experience. You download the latest version of Syslog NG, it was 4.3. Then you go and look for the documentation, it's 3.2, mostly because Syslog NG is now, they're trying to license it and make money off of it. So not all the documentation is as crisp and crispy as you want. You could do different forms of syslog, but point is, I'm going to replace my syslog server, which was running syslog ng, with Cribble. And it's not that I'm not trying to say that Cribble's better. There's just a lot of cool things you can do with Cribble, and particularly in a small network like I got at my house. This is just a wonderful way of handling the syslog, because the principle is, I'm going to handle those syslogs. I know you can do it with ng. You can go set them all in their own individual folders, but I can do that with Cribble. And I can modify the folders. I can modify the files. I can have them come in so they're in a nice, good storage method. I can also clear it up, clean it up, get the data in the right locations, massage the data, add data to it, and make the data that's being written to disk a lot cleaner. And so that's what I'm going to kind of demo here. So to make that work, this is my current environment. Blue is what I've currently got. I've got a syslog client. It's .13. It is setting to a syslog server .125. And when I'm done, that's a mistype. This will become, my syslog server will become 115 as Cribble. Cribble's just going to write the logs to itself and build itself a big file share. And so the data is ingested there. I normally play with Cribble. I mean, honestly, in most cases, you might just want to send it on to Splunk. Depends. If you don't want all your logs going to Splunk, you want to build a data lake, whatever the case may be, Cribble is a great way of handling it, making yourself a data lake. And so we're going to use Cribble to do that. And that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to log in. Here's my system. I'm going to nano. This is my syslog client, and I'm going to go syslogng.conf. When I modify that, you come down here, and we need to change the destination. And so I'm going to change the destination from 125 to 115. Save the modified file. Yep. And then systemctl restart syslog ng. All right, syslog's been restarted. So now I need to come over to my, if we look, what port was I setting it to? It should be 514, but oops, wrong. 514, let's validate that. Yep, it's going out to port 514, so we'll need to make sure that my Cribble instance is ready to read on 514. So UFW, clear this up, UFW allow 514 TCP. Now I should be able to receive stuff on 514. So we're going to go over to Cribble. Let's just go to its main page, Cribble stream. I'm going to go to data. I'm going to go to sources. I'm going to be listening for a syslog. So just click, let's go, I'll do that slower. Data, sources. Come down to push. There's syslog. I'm going to click that and that'll configure it. I can use their default one, which they have port 9514. I'm just going to add the source. I'm going to keep it low because default syslog server. Probably should keep it all with no spaces. So address, if I leave 000, it'll allow any address. Otherwise, I can say which addresses can use that 514. We're not going to use a UDP port, but we will use a TCP port. And wildcard, we're going to keep all the fields, and we're ready to go. So we give this a second. It usually comes up yellow right to begin with. If we give it a minute, it should flip to green. There it went. If I go hit live, I should be getting data. All right, I brought up TCP dump just because I got impatient and I wanted to make sure, yep, the data was coming through. And I can see that I'm getting stuff from 13 to 115, which is exactly what I was expecting. And now if I hit capture, I did get data, but I'll hit capture. I'll run it for 30 seconds, and I can actually see the data coming to my system. And so here are my events coming through. And so I've got syslog events. And this is the cool part. We call this the stream. This is where it gets its name from. We can actually see the data as it comes across the line. It's all nice and interpreted for us. And so we know that we've got data live. And so anyway, I can save as a sample file if I'd like, so I can manipulate this later. I'm not going to do that for now. Actually, might as well. Save as a sample file. We're going to call it syslog sample. I'm going to have it expire after 48 hours, so it won't stick around forever. And I'm going to save. Now if I close that, so now we've got our data coming in, we've got a source, and we need a destination. So the destination is going to be to a file. So I'm going to go to File System. So I could set it off to a Syslog server if I wanted to, but I'm going to send it to a file system. And I'm going to add a destination, output ID, and we're going to call this YouTube Syslog example. Output location, if you hover over, you can see it'll give you a path. And so I'm going to do op var log, and we probably ought to make sure we have a directory that I can access. So let's see, we'll Control C here, var log make dir Cribble YouTube. Clearly you'd want to make it a little bit more towards the files that you're going to be putting in there, like your hosts and stuff. But so now I have a Cribble YouTube. Let's copy that. Make sure I wrote that right. Copy. Paste. What format do I want it in? JSON. That's cool. I can put it in any format I want. I'm just going to leave it as raw. And staging location. We're good there. And I'm just going to partition expression, just leave it alone. I'll compress it as a gzip. File name, leave that all alone. I can have back pressure. What happens if I want to drop events, block events if I get too much coming through. I'll just hit save. This should flip green in a second. And it's good. I'm not going to see any data now because I don't have anything sent. If you remember my video I talked about, you're going to have input, you're going to have previous video we talked about data, which is sources, destinations. Then you set up routes that they get processed, and then they ultimately go to a destination. And so I'm going to end this video here, and then we're going to talk about routes, and ultimately I'll do pipelines, but after routes we'll be able to see the data going to where it needs to go. Anyway, I hope you keep watching and that these videos have been helpful. Anyway, hope you keep coming back.